Hi there, welcome back to the Pelvic House. Piet and Grade here, and today we want to share the spotlight on UTIs or bladder infections, because recently we've had many clients who've come to us with UTI type symptoms or full-blown bladder infections. And so with the winter coming on, we thought it would be a really good topic to show you some support and a few little things what you can do to help you through this difficult time.
Because they can make life miserable.
Yeah, so when you have a bladder infection, I'll just share some of the symptoms in case you've never had one, which is unlikely. But let's say you've been lucky and you've never had a bladder infection. What happens is you have to go to the toilet a lot, so you just feel as if you have to urinate all the time, even when you've just been to the toilet and you've emptied your bladder. You feel like it's full again. It hurts when you do a wee. You can feel nauseous, or you feel like you're under the weather. It can also make you feel really, really crabby and not yourself, especially in older women. Like
when I was nursing, if older ladies started to get a bit confused and off the show,
suddenly,
it'd often be a urinary infection.
Yeah, like signs of
causing. Yeah.
Exactly. If your loved one, say your mum and dad or your elderly parents or grandparents, suddenly act really confused or showing signs of dementia or Alzheimer overnight, first thing you have to do is suspect a bladder infection. It's most likely that. And so your urine can be cloudy or have a strong smell. That's another telltale. And in women, often the whole pelvic area can hurt. So sometimes it feels as if you've got cysts, ovarian cysts, which can be the case, of course, but it can be a bladder infection as well.
And quite often, if it's left untreated, it'll ascend up towards the kidneys. And if it gets into the kidneys, then it can be really bad.
Excruciating.
Mid-back pain, and blood in the urine.
The pain can even resonate all the way or reverberate down the sides of your body, down into your legs, and you'll know that you have a kidney infection.
And quite often you'll get high temperatures and rigors, chills,
vomiting sometimes, and that's definitely time to have your urine checked out. And usually by the time you have a kidney infection, you often really have to resort to antibiotics. So if you've had a bladder infection and you've had antibiotics as well, you need to restore your microbiome pretty well straight away. So like while you have antibiotics, you can already take these probiotics, because these are like a new generation probiotics. They don't get killed off by the antibiotics that you take.
Yeah, they withstand the antibiotics and the acid in the stomach. Yeah.
So they're really, really great and helpful. So if you've had antibiotics, just let me jump to that point straight away, and you haven't supplemented with probiotics, a good source of probiotics, it's going to take your body 5 years to restore your microbiome or your immune system. So your immune system is absolutely 90% dependent on the good bacteria in your tummy. And if they are compromised or killed off by antibiotics, you are just left with an immune system that's got holes in it. And like you catch all the viruses and bacteria and the bugs that go around.
Plus the UTIs will become recurrent rather than just...
That's right. So many years ago, when I had an accident, when I got hit by a truck, and I was left with a paralyzed bladder, and I had to use a permanent catheter, that's it, right? And then later on I had to self-catheterize. I had probably pretty much a bladder infection non-stop. I was probably only free from a bladder infection 5 days out of a month. Do you remember those days, Pete? And it was very, very harrowing, because in the end my immune system was completely shot. So I'm lucky that my nerves recovered, and then I still had to repair my microbiome, and I had to take really, really strong supplements to help my body repair itself from, like, say, 30 bladder infections that I had in 2 years. So one thing that I used to use was like the green powder. At the time we used the bioregulars, we had that for many years, but bioregulars went out, it died during the pandemic, the factory closed. So we now have this Vital all-in-one, and it comes in a big tub as well. So lots and lots of green powders.
Plus it's got a good probiotic blend as well.
It's got vitamins, minerals, greens, proteins, herbs, superfoods, antioxidants, digestive enzymes and prebiotics, and it says 14 billion probiotics, which is amazing. It's vegan, it's gluten-free, dairy-free, and so something like this is absolutely needed to boost the immune system and to repair it. Like, because if you've had a bladder infection once, that already means something is wrong with your immune system, of course, right? And
quite often you can get urinary symptoms without an infection due to if your body is detoxing mercury, if you've had dental work and things like that, or
cadmium, arsenic, heavy metal toxicity, lead, look, we bombard aluminium.
The bladder can feel as if it's got a urinary infection if it dumps those heavy metals down in it. So
yeah, so normally they're stored in our fat cells, so the body keeps them out of circulation by creating a few fat rolls here and there. Anyway, the body puts the poisons away in the fat tissue. So even if you are losing weight or dieting or having treatments, having healing sessions, having a detox, sometimes you end up with like burning sensation in your bladder, and you could be mistaken that it's a bladder infection, but it's actually, well, like Pete said, the heavy metals are irritating the lining of the bladder. And so what we suggest, again, the green powder or chlorella binds with the heavy metals, or there's this really brilliant product called EDTA, which absolutely binds with.
It's a chelation.
That's right. So I'll read out what it says. It's an amino acid, so that means a building block your body needs, that binds to and removes heavy metals like lead, arsenic, cadmium from the body, and then it's then removed via the urinary tract. And it's also good, like it helps to maintain cardiovascular function, which is your heart and your circulation. So that's a really, really good product that we have now as well to support your body, get rid of toxins.
Another cause of symptoms, urinary symptoms, can also be candida, which is a yeast or fungal thing. So the Synthol that we've got is specifically used to clean up candida problem, yeast, and also got a good probiotic blend, but also an enzyme digestive yeast cleanse.
So candida it usually doesn't start in your bladder, right? But it travels up to your bladder. So, but candida it's like a yeast, like Peter said, that's gone crazy. It's taken over your body. Usually this is what happens. We see it a lot when we look at people's blood under the microscope. We see symptoms of candida. So it often goes into your bloodstream, and then it can set up home in your bladder, but it can also go in other parts of your body, like your lungs, your spine, your brain, everywhere. So we all have to make sure that we handle our candida problems ourselves, because it's not recognized as a medical problem. So like Peter said, one thing, Synthol is like the best, I would say, top shelf product for your body to fight candida. Also reduce sugar and alcohol, of course, dairy things and bread, spaghetti.
The wine also depletes your good intestinal bacteria.
So
sulfites.
But that's right. So we're talking about candida that lives on things like pasta and rice and fruits, too much, just anything that turns into sugar. Your candida is going like, yippee, like here's another truckload. So like, and then it just keeps growing, right? So then it turns itself from a yeast into a fungus, and the fungus has spores like little roots that will puncture your bowel wall, so it travels from the bowel into the blood, into every part of your body, and then it can end up in the bladder too. So if let's say you think you have a bladder infection, you go to a doctor and it comes back negative, but you constantly have symptoms, I would definitely do a candida cleanse, take Synthol, and get rid of the heavy metal toxins as well. Yeah.
The most common cause of urinary infections in women is E. coli bacteria, which is a common bacteria within the bowel.
In your poo.
And it because women have a far shorter urethra from the bladder to the outside, then it can track up into the bladder. Now, D-mannose, which is a sugar, very prevalent in cranberries, but the D-mannose itself, we don't utilise it as a sugar, and it gets passed through our kidneys into the urinary system very quickly, and it actually binds to E. coli, the bacteria, and we can pee it out.
It binds to the E. coli in your bladder.
Yeah. So you don't, if it's an E. coli infection that you've got, then D-mannose can overcome that infection without antibiotics, because it prevents the E. coli attaching to the bladder wall, causing problems.
Yeah, so E. coli infections are the most common bladder infection. Just to put it in perspective, I would probably say 99%, would you say, of bladder infections are caused by E. coli. So in other words, 99% of the time you would really benefit from the D-mannose, and you would benefit from taking this every day if you're prone to bladder infections. We have people who take it every day, every single day, and their bladder infections are a thing of the past, but then when they stop taking it, they can get a bladder infection again. So it says here the body utilizes this to help cleanse the urinary tract and maintain a healthy bladder lining. So the bladder lining, of course, you almost need to see it like what, soft grass or something, you know, like it's got a soft bedding, right, for things that can be embedded in it that are not beneficial for you. So the D-mannose is 100% healthy, and it targets the bladder, it goes there, and it just keeps getting rid of nasties. So this is really great. So people would say, oh, but I drink cranberry juice or something. I get cranberry juice, like bottles of it, and I drink it. But that's not enough, because you need the condensed version of it. And so that's D-mannose. We're very, very happy that we have that for people. So also up your zinc. So if you have recurrent bladder infections, have zinc as well. Zinc is really good for your immune system, because it sterilizes all your mucous membranes.
And often when people don't know what the bacteria is, and it may not be E. coli, I tell women particularly to increase their iodine that they're supplementing with, and the excess will go out through the kidneys and start killing off the bacteria, because it's the best antimicrobial agent you can find, and
so how many
bacteria don't become resistant to it.
No, that's great, isn't it? So let's say if I had a bladder infection and it's not E. coli, so now I have to use something else. How many drops? I pretend you were my doctor. How many drops would you recommend that I take?
Well, I'd recommend you up the 3% molecular type of iodine to 20 drops a day for at least a week.
And would I put it on my skin or put it in water?
I would take it in orally in water.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so I'll do that. Yeah, so another really good thing is to rub magnesium oil on your tummy. So the magnesium oil will also strengthen your immune system, and it's like a natural painkiller and boost your magnesium, so levels in your body. So magnesium is needed by the immune system to keep your white cells healthy. You know, the white cells are your cells that fight bacteria. What else? There's many other things. Oh yeah, so like just quickly tell you, if you have recurrent bladder infections, like metaphysically speaking, that means like what are the spiritual, emotional reasons of that? Usually there is something going on there too. So it can mean you're not so good with boundaries, like you let people overstep. Maybe you're a yes person or a people pleaser, or you're letting people walk over you.
Something's pissing you off.
Well, but because if you think of an animal, like a dog will mark its boundary by urinating, right? So symbolically you need to think, who is overstepping my boundary all the time, or etc. So that's one. So the bladder also metabolizes fear. So if we have a lot of fear or low-lying fear or terrifying emotion going on in the background, and you're constantly pushing it away because you don't want to feel it because it's so unpleasant, and by the way, most of the time this will be deeply buried in the subconscious, you're more prone to bladder infections. And this can totally be the case for children too. Like if your child is
fear and anxiety,
it could be underlying that, and then a sense of overwhelm, helplessness, powerless. They're all feelings that will sit in the bladder, and at some point you need to just do some work with those feelings. And if you feel stuck there, please come and see Peter and me, because we can help you release those feelings very quickly.
Quite often people who get a really bad fright, they'll pee their pants
on the spot,
and that's the bladder reaction to fear.
But if it's still really big shock, but you don't pee your pants, that shock will still sit in your bladder, right? So children will often then pee in their pants, and it's like instant release. That's the body protecting so that it's not doesn't remain in the tissues. So there are probably like many incidences like that stuck in your memory, and it could be triggering your bladder, it could be triggering a bladder infection, because now you have to pay attention to what your body is saying. And there is also a really good spot on your hand, like on a reflexology point. So if you find that little hollow there, and it's just up from that, so on the side or all this area, you can just work that, and then you can even move in to the kidney area here, right? So just by pressing these points here, there are like hundreds and hundreds of points that are going stimulating your bladder to get healthy on both hands. It's the same. And you can use like a nice essential oil. So I have peace and calming, something like that, frankincense, any of your favorite oils would be perfect. So that's strengthening that area, right? This will also help you cope with incontinence. So that strengthens the bladder sphincter. Anyway, your body knows what it's meant to be doing. It just loves to get a little bit of TLC from you, attention from itself, and then it can go for it. But I think the supplements are so important that you know they're available, and even if you have to resort to antibiotics, you definitely need to step in and step up with the other supplements that we recommended.
Particularly with the probiotics.
Because that's right, antibiotics can save your life, but then you have to rebuild the structure again, right? So you can't just walk away not repairing what's been damaged. So, and bladder infections are absolutely some of the most painful. You know, it's nearly as bad as a toothache, I would say.
They're incredibly prevalent.
Yeah.
Like we just looked up a few stats, and it's 150 million cases worldwide in the year, and results in about $6 billion worth of expenditure. Or
in America.
Well, that's worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but in America, it's 6 million patients visit the doctor for urinary infections every year.
So men can get bladder infections too, but it's quite rare, isn't it? It's a lot rarer.
It's a lot.
But I mean, it could still happen, so the same thing applies for men.
If men have prostate problems and they're not emptying their bladder properly, that's when they'll start getting urinary infections.
Yeah.
If you can't empty your bladder properly.
Okay, and if you have kidney problems, beach flow is also a really good product to keep your kidneys healthy. We always promote beach flow pretty much for everything. That gets
the waste going out via the liver instead of the kidneys having to do all the work. And keep up plenty of water.
Oh yeah, we forgot to say that. But anyway, I'll put it in the article as well. So I hope that you stay safe and healthy and warm, and actually hot baths at night are really, really good to keep your bladder strong and healthy as well. So just think of any way that you can really fortify yourself and, you know, stay healthy. And if you need more help, please come and see us as well. Okay, because we're here to help you within your corner. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Have a good week.
We'll see you next week.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.